The kitchen was dark. I've always found something both sad and horrifying about the interior of a house without lights on. What? Why? Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Seeker by David Bischoff and Christopher Lambton. This is a classic sci-fi from 1976 from Laser Books. I love Laser Books. My goal in life is to own all of the Laser Books, but I mean, there's like 300 of them, so we'll see. As usual, as you expected, this will be one of my classic sci-fi book reviews where I give a spoiler-free review of the book, followed by my classic sci-fi bingo where I talk about the book in more depth. Before I get started, I have something to confess. I promised you after the last one, after the Earth's Last Citadel, that this would be a wild read. And I mean, I thought it would be. I mean, look, the cover looks really interesting, and David Bischoff wrote an Alien versus Predator novel where the predators fight a T-Rex. So I was expecting something quite off the charts. But alas, while it is definitely interesting, there's nothing weird or wild in it, really. I mean, maybe one thing. But anyway, I apologize. So, what is it about? Middlefield is a small, sleepy Midwestern town, much like any other, until an alien spaceship crash lands in its midst. Terrified and hysterical, the citizens organize a frantic search for the escaping pilot. But the man who finds Trabar is Gordon Ames, the local minister. At a time of personal crisis, when he's beginning to question his faith, Gordon's life is changed forever by the deep and moving friendship that grows between himself and this strange being. But like Trabar's world, their relationship is doomed. Okay, so I don't really know how much that explains, but most of this novel is actually not really about the town and about, what's his name, Gordon, and Trabar, what's his name, Trabar? I don't know. And the aliens' friendship at all, but Trabar's backstory into arriving on this world. I'm not sure if that's like a spoiler or not, but it's hard to talk about the book without talking about that. So the first 50 or so pages is about what the back sounds like. The first part of the back, where everyone's hysterical and is trying to find this missing alien. The middle, a good chunk of the book, probably over 100 pages of the book in the middle, is Trabar's backstory about how he arrived on Earth, and then the last little bit is the last part of the synopsis. In terms of a review, this book is interesting and it's easy to read. It's very quick to read. It moves at a good pace for a classic sci-fi, but it's not particularly innovative when it comes to alien culture. There are moments here and there that broadened it a bit, but most of the societal setup seems like ours, except on his world, it's an oligarchy that runs the whole thing and religion is banned. Those are the two kind of major differences. And aside from a few physiological differences that you can kind of see in this picture, they are pretty much like us to the point that you sometimes forget you're reading about an alien. It just feels like you're reading about like a future society on another planet that could just be human. They have jobs, they have cars, they have spouses. We only see a small slice of Trabar's culture, so it left me feeling like they tried to make the aliens unique, but they didn't quite hit the mark. That's okay. While I usually love the alien culture stuff, I found the start of the book and the end of the book actually a lot more compelling, possibly because Trabar isn't the most exciting person. He's kind of one of those, like, classic sci-fi main characters that's, like, kind of perfect and, like, very righteous and moral and does the right thing and has a small bit of a conflict, but nothing that would make him morally gray, you know. He's very much a decent person, and that's not as interesting as sometimes as a person who's a bit of a jerk. I don't know. The most fascinating thing about this novel is that it's a book that deals with religion in a sense, something which if you follow my channel is I have no interest in unless it's like the Greek gods. But what I found fascinating about this novel in that approach is the direction that it went. I was not expecting the outcome at the end, and it was actually quite interesting. I was like, oh, okay. Wow. I didn't expect that. There's a pretty cool twist that I was not expecting as well. This book had one really solid, great thing about it, and the rest was kind of mediocre. It's possible this is due to the structure. The story within a story kind of ruins the tension in a way because you know what's going to happen, and the backstory element felt like a bit of an info dump rather than a part of the overall story. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the novel had good bones, but it felt like they had been put together a little wrong. Do I recommend it? I don't know. If you really, really like classic sci-fi, you can give it a chance. It's honestly not a book that I think I will remember, though the main conflict in the book is good. It's so weird. I don't know. The book does have two very good lines that I very much enjoy. The first one being, "The kitchen was dark. I've always found something both sad and horrifying about the interior of a house without lights on." What? Why? Why is it horrifying? It's just the house with no lights on. I don't understand. And then there's an even better line on 71. Let's see here. "The building frightened him." Everything frightens this man. "The building frightened him. It seemed almost a tangible symbol of arrogance and power, of a monolithic government machine, quite capable of flattening its citizens with the sheer weight of its bureaucratic mass." That was great. So yeah, here comes my very short, spoiler-filled classic sci-fi bingo. Thank you for watching this review. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book and if you absolutely love it. And if you do, I'm very happy for you. If not, good. So yeah, here we go. Outdated science. Not really, because the book is set in 1976, like when it was written. So we don't really have the outdated science. And all the other science is like alien science. So I would say no. Spaceship blows up. Yes, the whole sun blows up, killing everyone but Trabar, his wife and his kid, and his enemy, and then the latter three die from a disease. This is the part that's actually pretty wild. So if you want to hear more about this, wait till I get to the the weapons section at the end here. It's actually pretty good. So yeah, yes, definitely a spaceship blows up. Social changes, no, because as I said, it's set in 1976 in the present. A sexy female scientist? No. Cool aliens? Yeah, they're pretty cool. So let's see. His body was almost human, but there was something of the hulking quality of a gorilla in his torso. His shoulders were impressively rounded. His arms dangled below them almost like an afterthought. At the same time, his legs were slender, almost delicate, with the grace of a dancer about them. He had, as far as I could tell, no hands or feet. Rather, at the end of his limbs there were malleable lumps of flesh that changed shape, and even as I watched, extending fingers and digits apparently at will. He radiated emotions, much like a broadcasting tower radiated television programs or furnace radiated heat. So basically, he radiates the emotions that that he is feeling onto other people. So he ends up killing two people by accident because he was terrified, so it terrified them and gave them a heart attack and they died. So that was actually pretty interesting. I thought that was kind of cool that he kind of like projected his own fear onto them. Isn't there a movie that has that? Or another book? Oh, I know there is. Oh, tell me in the comments. I'm going to try to think about it. If I remember it, I'll put it up here. If not, tell me in the comments. Oh, what is it? Oh, this is going to bug me. And there's one more thing. Jesse's hair, because he makes himself look like other people. He has like a kind of a camouflage or like a something like that. Jesse's hair wavered and vanished, becoming thick green scales. Lockhart's features vanished too, and where once the nose had been, there was now a small round hole in the middle of a flat green plane. The eyes seemed to detach themselves from the face. Where the hair had been, two long extrusions appeared, with the eyes mounted on their tips, like stalks growing from his scalp. Instead of a mouth, he had something resembling the mandibles of an insect, a hole out of which extended two small tusk-like pincers for grasping and chewing food. Amazingly, his appearance was somehow beautiful. There was an aura about him, a sense of dignity and power. He filled the room about him with a rich scent of musk. I'm pretty sure Gordon, really has the hots for this alien. He's always talking about how much he, admires him, and he, like this sentence alone. I was really hoping for a human-alien romance. Despite the cover, we don't get that. So, spoiler alert for the next thing. I'm still talking about the aliens here. Two more things. So, apparently they talk using vibrations and stuff instead of actual speech, but oral speech was a holdover from an earlier era on Trabar's world. There had been a time when all interpersonal communications among Poliquans had been verbal, but as the psi powers had waxed, vocal ability had waned, becoming over the centuries very nearly a forgotten skill cultivated only by a few. So I guess because Trabar is such a cool dude, I guess it's like learning Latin now. People that can speak Latin now are like him with speaking actual language. So I thought that was interesting. The best thing about his people is that they have this person named a door dancer. So when you show up at a building, like an office building or a government building, there's a person that just dances for you. There's a scene, and they're kind of like servants, and people just kind of ignore them. But Trabar goes out of his way to be a good dude and thank the person for their dancing. It's that scene was pretty cool. I was like, all right, this is fun. So yeah, they are cool aliens. They're fun. It's just we don't get enough of it. Okay, so alien human romance, as I said, no, despite the cover, it's not a sexy moment. It's like a we're friends moment, unfortunately. Generation ship, nope. Space soldiers, nope. AI, nope. New worlds, yes, we get Trevor's planet, though we don't learn a lot about it. We learn like what it looks like. We just kind of get the city that he's in, and then that's it. So yes, but not really. Cyberpunk, no. Sexism, not really. I mean, the 1970s stuff is pretty standard. It's not really sexist. It's just like at the time, his wife doesn't work, that kind of thing. But no one says anything overly sexist or anything like that. There's some tough ladies in the town that try to chase after the alien. Trebar's people have a few female leaders, but it's a male dominated book. But it's not overly sexist. So no. Foreigner technology, no. LGBTQ plus representation, no. Portals, no. Microfiche, no. Male MC, no, because he's not a dick. He's actually a nice dude. Both of them are decent dudes. Racial equality, no, because there are no people of color in this book at all. Future weapons, okay, here we go. So, as I alluded to, there is a ship that has a weapon on it that goes into a sun and blows up the sun and kills everything in the universe. And yeah, that's how Trevor's planet and his people and his family all die. So that's why he is the last alien left alone. Poor guy. I feel bad for him. And then he dies. So it's a book about xenocide? I guess it's not really xenocide if you accidentally blow up your entire world. A question for the comments. Do you think? Anyway. Okay. So they're going to talk about their antimatter weapon. The antimatter weapon is to be used as a kind of interstellar blackmail to coerce the races that inhabit the distant planets into submission. You mean if they refuse to cooperate with us, we simply drop the antimatter weapon on their planet? Oh no, nothing so crude. We would drop the weapon into their sun. S-U-N, sun. And then the antimatter would be encased beneath several layers of extremely heat-resistant shielding, of course, held in place by stasis beams in the midst of a total vacuum, so there would be no chance of it accidentally coming into contact with normal matter. But when it entered the sun, the shielding would be burned away, and the antimatter, by that time deep inside the solar furnace, would be released. The resulting annihilation would be cataclysmic, but that would be just the beginning. The explosion would create an energy vacuum within the heart of the star, and it would begin to collapse inward on itself, to generate huge amounts of gravitational energy beneath the surface, and then nova! Exactly. The star would balloon out to many times its size. Perhaps it would explode. Perhaps expand into a bloated red giant. Either way, the inner planets of the system would be scoured clean of all life, and the Pelican Space Force would have its revenge on those standing in the way of its burgeoning empire. Honestly, though, in terms of having a badass killer weapon, this is a pretty cool twist. Like, the thing what happens, too, in this book is that, so, Trebar is like, I'm not taking my... So he's a pilot of a ship that's going into other universes. This is a new thing for his people. There are 2 ships that are doing this. He finds out that there are weapons on his ship that he does not want to pilot. He also doesn't want to leave these weapons with his people, so he's like, that's it, I'm leaving. And so he has this allied religious group that I'm not going to talk about because it's not that, doesn't really have any bearing on the plot really, other than to like make him aware that his government is shady. So anyway, he tries to steal his own ship with his wife and kid on board, and he kidnaps his enemy who tries to like stop him from doing this, and he takes off. He's like, we're leaving, I'm taking the weapon with me so you guys can't use it. Another ship follows, and I'm trying to remember because I read this like last week, but I'm pretty sure they shoot at the engine, or the EMP the engine of the other ship somehow, and what happens is it gets trapped in the gravitational pull of the sun. They realize this, they turn around, they try to either blast the ship apart or try to stop the ship. They don't get there in time, and their ship, the other ship, goes into the sun, and it explodes, and it destroys Trebar's entire planet. Yeah, so the weapon worked. They also have a cool thing called Netherspace transition, which is the term we use for the departure from normal space into the adjacent continuum where faster than light speeds can be attained. It's their hyperspace drive. Anyway, it's just cool that it's called Netherspace transition. That's neat. So yeah, lots of cool future weapons in this book, or at least one really cool one that is terrifying. So post-apocalyptic? No, because there's no world left to speak of to be post-apocalyptic upon. Yeah, I'm laughing, but it's sad. Assassins? No. Galactic War? No. They hoist their own petard here. Similar tech of today, yes. They have cars in Trabar's world. It specifically talks about pistons and things, and I'm like, why do they have an internal combustion engine? That just seems like something that would be like very specific, given its complexity, very specific to Earth. But whatever. They also have e-readers. Okay. Books had been largely replaced on Trabar's world by the reader selectors, portable computer terminals that allowed one, theoretically at least, complete access to public information stores in the central libraries. Yep, e-readers. The Bechdel test? No. But yeah, and yeah, nothing for my quick book bonus at all. So this book does not get a bingo, but it does get a supernova, and good for you. Not that, honestly, that weapon is really cool. See, that's the thing. This book has a couple like really cool like hidden gem aspects, but overall it's just kind of slow and a bit plodding. So, but yeah, the cover though, I mean, the cover's great. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, let me know in the comments if you have read this or not. And yeah, thanks.